Hi, welcome back to another impromptu unscripted video. This week I'm going to do a video on what is the OSR and more importantly what the OSR is to me, because I think it's different to lots of different people. Some people OSR can mean things like old cyberpunk games, things like that. But what is the OSR to me? Well, to me OSR is, I'm going to show you right now, this. Do you remember your first role-playing game? This is mine. This or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Edition Player's Guide, it's this or the other. But this one has a dear place in my heart. And this came with the box set, which TSR tried to release in the 90s. I think about 1990, 1991 maybe, I think. And this artwork, to me, in a nutshell, is like, well, it is old Dungeons and Dragons. And OSR tries to invoke this feeling. So this is Dungeons and Dragons originally to me, and OSR to me invokes this feeling. It invokes open lock checks for thieves with percentile rolls. It invokes wizards only having a die 4 hit point and having one spell at level 1 and 2 level 1 spells at level 2, and once they've cast them they're gone. It invokes fighters basically being a little bit better at hitting people and having slightly more hit points. It invokes clerics not having a spell at level 1 and having multiple different saving throws, and it invokes people dying really quickly. Like, you could save versus poison, and if you didn't save, right, you die. That's what old D&D is to me, and that is what the OSR is. If you compare it to newer versions of Dungeons and Dragons, there are big differences. You would sometimes get like these classes in old D&D were also, well, they were classes and race, should I say, and that is re-invoked in newer D&D. So what happened? Why did this come about? Why did it re-engage again as OSR? Why didn't people keep using this? So, a long story short, OSR stands for Old School Renaissance or Old School Revival, however you want to phrase it, and it popularizes games like that from the 1970s, 1980s, and I would argue 1990s was 2nd edition as well. And it popularizes that feel, that philosophy, the philosophy of the deadliness, the philosophy of percentile dice rolling, the philosophy of quite quick, easy rules. And why did it come about? Okay, so the reason that it came about, in a nutshell, so OSR came about, I feel, and this is about me as well as about, well, I think it's a bit objective as well. OSR came out because of this. So 3rd edition comes out about 2000, 2001, around that time, and it totally replaces 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons, and it has the D20 that we all know now mechanic. Roll the D20 high, but it still has some of that complexity, but it basically, and it has multiple skills and everything's different, and it really did change it, and it did well. Pathfinder 1st edition is based off this game. It did very well, but a lot of people liked old D&D, and they couldn't get a hold of, and people wanted it back sometimes, and they couldn't get a hold of this. Like nowadays, you can buy this off Drive-Thru RPG, and you'll do well for you, and you can order the print copy, which is what I've got this off. I used to have the original copy, but I sold it like an idiot once. But anyway, people couldn't get hold of this, so they wanted to recreate games which had rules like this, which had rules. I mean, this is literally the same rules, but just like the basic world. They wanted to get hold of games like that. So what did they do? They made their own. And they are especially spurred on to make their own when a game like this came along. And they're like, that's not D&D. I mean, I love 4th edition. I play all editions, full disclosure. I love them all. And I play them all. I don't really play a lot of 3rd edition, if I'm honest, but there you go. So what did they do? They came out and they made games like Swords and Wizardry. This is the complete version, and Osric came out. And these games sought to replicate OSR, Old School Renaissance, Old School Revival. Notice OSR is in the title of this. So they came to replicate old versions of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, most OSR games replicate a certain era of Dungeons and Dragons play. For example, Swords and Wizardry. Initially, recreated the 1974 rules, but this version recreates the 1974 to 1978 rules. This one recreates the 1st edition advanced rules. so forth. These games recreate the White Box 1974 only rules to a sense that they're not usually completely accurate, and they normally have to change a bit to avoid copyrights and things like that. But in general, they try to recreate different areas of Dungeons and Dragons, and that is what OSR is in a nutshell. It's that feeling of coming back to me. It's coming back to this, is what it is. And this might be something different to you. It might be BX, it might be a White Box, it might be Bluehome, it might be the BECME, all the BECME rule cyclopedia. Might be anything like that, but it's invoking that feel. OSR games are deadly. OSR games are rules light. OSR games do not have, well, generally, sheets like this, the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons player sheets. They don't have them. Look at all those skills. Skill for everything. OSR games tend to not ask for arbitrary rolls for everything when you want to do anything. Like if you want to lie to the town guard, you're not asking for an arbitrary persuasion roll or a deception roll. You might, and the dungeon master might ask you to roll under your attribute like they used to at some point. They might ask you to roll low on a d6 to do such a thing. They might ask you to roll percentile dice for such a thing, but they don't always, and there is not always arbitrary rolling in OSR games. Whereas 5th edition, there's often an arbitrary roll. Now, you could say some people like rolling, so that's good. Some people don't. They're just different flavors, and there's nothing wrong with liking one over the other. But if you compare this character sheet, I wonder if there's a character sheet in the back of here. I don't know if there is, actually, to be quite honest with you. Well, not in this one, but if you compare this character sheet, let's look at the White Box, because I know there's one in here. It's very simple. To this, you've got your strength, your attributes, your name, class level, race. This game has one single saving throw compared to all these. It's just a much more easygoing sheet if you look at it. It's just got the main bits of equipment. It has spells and abilities, but there are very minor amount of abilities in the game, like special ones for elves to find things. But compared to this, if you look at all of this, and there's a sheet for all these skills, all the different saving throws, personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, and there's so much more to remember regarding features and traits of every class. There's a lot more to remember, and so OSR is simplified. OSR is a very simple game, and other games try to recreate that, and you get new SR. And I would say what could be considered that is Shadow Dark, my paperback copy, or I've got Dungeon Crawl Classics. I would say they might not claim it themselves, and games like Castles and Crusades evoke that feel, but with that more die 20 mechanics that came out with the advent of 3rd edition. So you got, but again, they try to invoke that feeling. And to me, new SR games, they always come back to me to feeling like I'm playing this again. And that's what I want from an OS. I want to feel like I'm playing this again. And that's what makes it special to me. That's what OSR is. It's nostalgia to me. That's what OSR is. And I love it. And it might not be to you. And if you don't get it because you weren't born then, I would just say you missed out on a wonderful time of gaming, and it just was something very special. I mean, you've got a wonderful time of gaming with this. I'll be honest, I love playing 5th edition, but there's something special about this in my heart. And every time I play an OSR game, whether it's Dungeon Crawl Classics, if it's Shadow Dark, if it's White Box or Osric, I'm always coming back here. And that's why I love OSR. There's just that feeling. What gives you that great OSR feeling? Please let me know and comment below. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.